Congratulations, we're recording. Hi, hello, welcome back to 10 o'clock news. Today we are going to be talking about the Jonestown Massacre. I am your host. Today I have my two lovely co-hosts with me. We got Dorothy, we got Shane, and Shane's just a little crippled. So, we for the past few days have been doing research on the Jonestown Massacre, and we will be discussing it. Just to give you the brief introduction, the Jonestown Massacre was a town outside, inside of Gunya, I believe, if I said that correctly. If not, I am not sorry. Fight me. Um,
David.
we,
David.
um, so this guy named Jim Jones had a bunch of his cult followers go with him to Jonestown, and
He promised them a town that would be built and was safe for What are they called again? Communists.
well, a safe place for communists. But we're
Yeah.
going to get into all of that
Safe.
right after a quick word from a good old sponsor.
We are sponsored by Kool-Aid Jammers. Oh yeah!
Alrighty, so let's give a quick round of applause for our sponsor today. Into the Jonestown Massacre. Would you like to kick us off with the deep dive?
Yes, I would.
Alrighty, you know the most about this, even though I spend the most nights about it.
Jim Jones was obviously a communist. Okay, we gotta get serious. Jim Jones was a communist, and I'm gonna look real stupid. I forgot who was going after. Somebody was making it. Who was in office? I need the host
What
to
do you
help me.
mean he
No,
was enough?
no. Somebody who was in office in government made it to where it was dangerous to be a communist. That's who he was running from.
That was the entire
Just the
U.S.
entire-
government.
yeah.
The entire U.S. government at the
Okay.
time, due to the Red Scare, they were trying
Yeah.
to anti-communist
communism.
propaganda was everywhere.
He decided to create his own party, basically get away from it, which is where he created Jonestown. Where was Jonestown located?
Gunya.
Gunya, like what part? Like it was a secluded area.
It was off. So from the capital of Georgetown, it was off to the to the west side.
It was a secluded area, really, and there was like
You
kind
had
of
to
forest around
you had
it.
to fly in
Yeah.
on an airstrip
That's the
to
only
get
way
there.
you could get there. And he advertised it as being like a safe place for communists, and he would they had almost like a church setting set up where he would preach most nights into like early hours, and he would like force the people to stay awake, like children. Like he would go over and he would like hit them if the children were asleep or something.
They also
So they would listen. There's also recordings of his speeches, actually. Like it would be for hours and hours, and he would brainwash them.
Jesus.
Yes, hours.
I can barely sit there for hours on end and do one thing at a time without like getting sidetracked and going and do something. I can't imagine sitting there and listen to, because like I've listened to some of his recordings and it sounds just.
No, you were forced to. You were forced to sit there.
You were forced to sit there. So
babies, kids, everybody.
okay, now so was he worse than like Joseph Stalin? Like if someone like was like coughing or something, would he walk over and have him be executed? Was he worse than Stalin?
No. It was more of if they started like getting tired or attempted to leave or were asking to leave, he would like have somebody either go over there and like sometimes people
beat him
got
like a
shot.
redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, they morally got beat, but sometimes they would be killed.
Okay.
And sometimes himself, he would go over there and like get them to
give him the
attention again.
business, beat him into submission.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So also, when he was still in the United States, he opened a church in Indianapolis where he was preaching the exact same viewpoints, and he had his viewpoints mixed in with actual church teachings, to where he began his loyal following. Then, in the 1970s, he moved said church to San Francisco, where he just gained the big public attention and was a well-respected religious figure within the community. Until it was viewed more as a cult, big shocker, than an actual church, which changed people's opinions of him very poorly for him. And he saw this and then decided that the best outcome for this would be go to a different country to escape the United States government in the criticism laying around his teachings to avoid losing his
So
followers.
he would be able to do it. He purposely picked the secluded area where you only had to fly in because he flew in all the people who like wanted to go. Like he advertised his town and what it was going to come with and what it would like what came with moving to the town. Like, these are the benefits. This is what I would be doing. This is what I'm preaching. This is what I believe in. And he advertised that, and the people who wanted to move to the town and wanted to come into the town, he flew them out. So they didn't drive there. You couldn't. But even if like they could, he didn't let the people drive there. Everybody who came there had to be flown in because that means they wouldn't have any means to escape other than like running.
Yeah.
And his guards could easily shoot them down if they're running.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have a way to escape. So he was like,
there's an exact quote I
them.
have from him. He called it a utopian paradise away from the American media. So he was trying to make it a religious town, safe for socialists, communists, all the above. It's a little offsetting because I watched one video and here's just all the papers, all the notes. People are just horrible is what I have found out. And just
now finding that out.
Well, some people, there's an understanding of like, okay, I can see why you're a little cuckoo, a little like that. Like, okay, I don't want to blame this entirely. Don't cancel me now, YouTube. But like Adolf Hitler, okay, because that was a prominent figure that Jim Jones would read about in high school. Like, I understand partially of why Hitler was like as radical as he was, and like he was a decent political person until he let his own
Beliefs
counteract what was good for the German people. Yeah, well, I mean, he
didn't really take them into account.
No, he wanted to restore Germany, and well, he did when he annexed Austria, and he got that part of Czechoslovakia, and he could have stopped there and would have been known as one of the greatest German leaders ever, rearming them and all that. But this isn't about Hitler. This is about Jim Jones and his very interesting mind. So
his attempt was to like expand, like it was Jonestown, and he was gonna like continue expanding it because it was in like kind of a fielded area, but like I said, secluded. He was gonna continue expanding it and create like tons of like places, and he was gonna be like a huge leader, but obviously that got cut short.
Yeah. So during his time in California, he opened, I believe it was around like 12 churches. And he also, if I believe correctly, like the height of his members was around 3,000, and he got 1,200 of them to leave with him to go to Gunya and to eventually fly out to Jonestown.
It's not Jim James, it's Jim Jones.
Jim Jones, Jippy Holmes. All right, makes sense. I think I need a bit of coffee. It's been a long day here at the production studio. We're basically in a closet.
Studio. Yeah, with a microwave in the background. This is your studio.
My studio's at home.
You said it's been a long day in the studio. We are not in the studio.
This is set B. This is set B. Set A is my home office. And set C is the film sites, like film site A.
Anyway, now that you guys got that insight, back to what we were talking about.
There's popcorn over there. I'm just now.
That's great. We don't need to talk about popcorn.
What about the Ziploc?
Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah.
Nope, Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid's a very good
When are we
drink.
getting to that?
There's oil.
Oh, the poison?
Do I get to tell that?
And you want to talk about the poison?
'Kay.
Big waste of drugs, by the way. Like, he could have got so
David?
much money for those if he sold them.
David?
Like, you know how much money he could have got for
My
for
host
the
here.
cyanide?
My host here is not. He doesn't know what he's talking
The
about.
Vicodin,
Stop.
he could have got so much.
So anyway, thank you. Actually, do you remember the names of like? It was the governor person. No, it wasn't. It was a legislative leader, I think. No, it was
Leo Ryan. Was you talking
Yeah.
about the one that was killed?
the government person who came to visit. What was his name again?
Leroy Ryan.
Okay, yeah.
I believe so. Yep, Leo Ryan.
He flew in. Do we remember why he flew in?
Because of the program created by the temple members' families to bring light to Jim Jones.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the temple members' families, they were like worried, weren't they? They wanted them to be checked up on, and like they were afraid that they were being held hostage there against their will, which obviously they were. They willingly went, but they weren't allowed to leave. And what's his name?
Leo Ryan.
Leo Ryan. He flew in.
With 20 people.
Yes.
NBC reporters. There was a congressman there, and some of the
Cameramen.
Yeah.
He was basically there just to visit the place and like figure it out, just hang out there for a day. There were many people who were why he was there. They were trying to pass notes. They were trying to like get other people, members of the temple, to like pass along messages to him. They were trying to get children to go up to him and hand him notes because Jim wouldn't really suspect a child to be like doing that. So
yeah.
I don't believe that parents were using their own kids, but people in general, they were just using kids to try and get them to pass along the note, and they weren't able to. Who was it who shot down the plane?
Well, you were getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Because, so notes were passed to NBC reporters, and approximately around 20 people from Jonestown went with the group back to the planes. They had to call in an extra plane. And there's one name that is very important. The name Larry Lawton. He was a loyalist to the Temple group. And from that, he went with them. People were hesitant at first about him, but they eventually obliged and let him get on their trucks. After such, they all arrived to the airfield. The planes ran 30 minutes late due to the extra plane. They had to call in to get everyone out to make sure everyone was safe. And during this time, Leo Ryan and one other stayed behind at Jonestown just to make sure no one else wanted to leave and to make sure that they got everyone that did. After that, they got, like, I think, several more that came with them.
Yes.
And then a angry temple member inside of Jonestown walked up and stabbed Leo Ryan in the arm. Fortunately, other members of the temple group came, they disarmed him, they restrained him down on the ground, and that's when Leo Ryan and everyone else decided, okay, it's time to get up and leave. So they went to the airfield, and they waited for the plane with everyone else. Then when the planes arrived, there was a small six-passenger plane all the way at the other side of the airfield, and there was the big 20-passenger plane all the way towards the front. At the six-passenger airfield, Larry Lawton was there, and he pulled out a handgun and started firing shots through the air. He injured 6 of the temple members that were leaving. He also shot and didn't kill, just severely injured some of the reporters, and I think he got one of the pilots.
He did get the pilot. Did you say he got the main dude who came? I keep forgetting his name.
Well, he wasn't killed by him. He wasn't killed. He was charged with conspiracy of aiding and abetting it. So,
but that he did die though. That dude did get shot and die.
From later. So
yeah.
They got the gun away from him. They got him down, and then during this ordeal over at the other plane, a truck rolled up. It was a tractor and a trailer hitch. They pulled up, and the people at the plane suspected nothing of it until about a dozen or so of guards from Jonestown jumped out of said truck with handguns, shotguns, and rifles and started to shoot anyone that was around.
Jim actually sent those guards while he was doing the whole massacre, the Kool-Aid thing.
Yes.
So Jim, since people were like, he didn't want what he was doing getting out, and since people were being like putting on planes to leave and they could expose what he's doing, he also felt like it was just like his economy was starting to crumble. So he decided to send those guards to get those people while the remaining people
hush hush.
Yeah. And while the remaining people who weren't at the planes were there, he had everyone else back in the like homesteads areas, and it was grape Kool-Aid, I believe. It was grape Kool-Aid.
It was a giant
Kool-Aid.
vat of red.
No.
The picture was
grape
red.
Kool-Aid, but it was grape Kool-Aid. It was grape Kool-Aid. Anywhere you read it, it will say grape Kool-Aid.
None of the notes. I didn't write it down.
I wasn't going to read the notes. I was going to Google it, but we don't. Okay, anyway, Kool-Aid. He had Kool-Aid, and he laced it with, I know, cyanide.
Cyanide, I know that. Vicodin, I believe.
Yes, I think chloroform.
Fun fact, there was enough in there to kill adults in 30 minutes.
I have all the, like, what they were, but the book's in my locker, so. But anyway, he laced that. It was like a big whole thing, and he basically gave all the citizens an option. Either they willingly drank it, or it was forced down their throat, or they got shot, or they chose to shoot themselves. So babies who didn't have that option or even realize what was going on, or like little kids, they were forced to drink it through syringes. Like, he would have guards have the Kool-Aid in syringes and then do that, and it was fatal, obviously.
Well, yeah, I would assume.
Obviously, he was trying to wipe out the whole population, so they couldn't, like, expose him. But at the end, he ended up dying anyway from a gunshot wound, but we don't know if it was self-inflicted. And we don't know who did it.
No.
We don't know.
We don't know. But so, at the plane, when they all jumped out, the armed guards, they fired everyone down one at a time. There was a decent handful. Some reporters, Leo Ryan was shot, the congressman was shot, and several other people were injured. That plane did manage leaving. After they left the shooting, the pilots said, F this. They got in, they started the engines, they flew back to the States, and everything went completely well. Larry Walton, the one person that was able to be charged, he was charged with conspiracy of aiding and abetting, and he was released April 2002. I have zero idea of how his prison sentence went, but the Jonestown Massacre was the biggest murder/suicide murder-suicide
in American history.
Yeah. So if we do the math, there was like 1,200 people there, and a life sentence is 25 years. So if Jim Jones was charged with every single one and was found guilty, he would have not only 30,000 years in prison, which, by the way, Jeffrey Dahmer's was only 967 or 27. His sentence was way shorter than that. That's a huge number of people just dead, killed.
That's called the massacre.
Well, obviously, yes. Well, he was as successful as a concentration camp.
Some people think that he had, like, some people think that, obviously, like I said, he sent the guards to try and get those people to be like, hush, hush, not be able to go out, like anybody, the pilots, because they technically witnessed some of this, any of it. And then obviously he was going to give out the Kool-Aid mixture, and he probably would have chosen to stay afterwards. I don't know where I was going with that. Hold on. Dang it. Some people think that he had one of his guards shoot him because one of the planes got away. He was going to be out anyway. He was trying to avoid jail time is what some people think. So he couldn't bring himself to do it. Like, or some people think that, like, there wasn't enough Kool-Aid left. I don't know. Some people think that the guard shot him. Some people think that one of the guards turned on him and shot him to try and, like, so the guards could get out and they wouldn't be charged somehow. Try and run away from it all.
Yeah. Shane, you've remained quiet this entire time. Your opinion.
Anyway.
Thank you all for watching. This is going on past our supposed time. But, Mrs. Humphreys, a podcast is usually always a lot longer than 10 minutes. So this is probably after the edit down around 15 minutes. So thank you all for watching. I will see you.
Continue. Finish,
I will
but
see
don't
you
stop.
all in the next one. Until then, bye-bye.
Love you, Miss Humphreys.